Good afternoon. Let's start to study about the pronoun who, which is applied as a subordinating conjunction. In the declarative statement, even though we studied about the pronoun who, whose, what, or which as the interrogative pronoun, the speaker links the subordinate clause to the main clause with the subordinating conjunction who with a trait as a pronoun to indicate a person. The subordinating conjunction who with a trait as a pronoun is described by the subordinate clause. The described subject or object from the subordinate clause is applied as a subject or an object in the main clause. There is a conference for learning the transformation. The title is this: to transform an interrogative clause with the interrogative pronoun who into a declarative subordinate clause and link the subordinate clause to the main clause. We can say that the subordinate clause linked by the pronoun who is an indirect, can be an indirect sentence, interrogative statement, when the main clause is the interrogative clause. Let's start to read the explanation. The speaker links the declarative clause to be the main clause and the interrogative clause to be transformed into the subordinate clause because the two clauses share the indication about a person. The speaker is able to transform the interrogative clause that starts with the interrogative pronoun who into the declarative subordinate clause linked by the pronoun who. The speaker transforms the interrogative clause as the subordinate clause. Then we can expect there is a change of the arrangement between the modal verb or the be verb and the subject. The subject is able to transform the interrogative clause into the declarative clause after the speaker clarifies the subject or object indicated by the pronoun who with the corresponding indication in the declarative clause to be the main clause. The example for this explanation can be like this: I know who he is. In this sentence, the object of the transitive verb know in the main clause is the whole sentence, whole clause of the subordinate clause, who he is. And as we can expect, the subordinate clause originates from the interrogative clause, who is he? And who is he is in the form of the interrogative clause, because the arrangement of the be verb and the subject is in a row for the interrogative clause, who is he? But the speaker intends to change this interrogative clause as the subordinate clause of the main clause. So the speaker switches the subject and the be verb, the order of the subject and the be verb, like who he is. So we can make a sentence that the pronoun who works as the subordinating conjunction in the sentence. There are two conferences The first one seems like to be the main clause. I heard about him. And the second one is the interrogative clause that seems like to be the subordinate clause, to be linked by the pronoun who as the subordinating conjunction. In this conference, the second conference, the pronoun who works as the interrogative pronoun. This is obvious from the order of the be verb is and the subject, who he is. Who is he? And the speaker may link the second clause to the first clause. The second clause is going to be the declarative statement because the main clause is the declarative statement, and we can find the shared indication. So shared indication is him and who. And between the two clauses, the shared indication is found as him and the pronoun who. And in the second clause, the pronoun who is defined as the subject he. Actually, the subject is defined by the subjective complement who, but we can say that the subject he and the subjective complement who indicate the same person, and the speaker has the inquisitive intent to know about the subject in this second sentence, in the second interrogative clause. Let's read the explanation and see how the two clauses are linked. The speaker clarifies the fact that the object of the preposition about in the first clause corresponds with the subject he and the subjective complement who to define the subject in the second clause as the same person. The first example that the two clauses are linked and the sentence is stated in the first example. I heard about who he is. We can see that the pronoun for the object him is replaced by the subordinate clause who he is. The speaker is able to transform the interrogative clause into the declarative clause because the definition of the subject he that the speaker intends to obtain from the subjective complement who in the interrogative clause who is he is clarified by the pronoun him in the first clause. The speaker changes the arrangement of the interrogative clause who is he into the declarative clause who he is, starting with the pronoun who. This kind of transformation, change of the arrangement, is for being the subordinate clause of the main clause. The inverted arrangement of who is he stated with the verb is ahead of the subject he reveals the intention of the speaker who allows the listeners to participate in the conversation. This statement becomes able to be completed by the listeners. From the participation of the listeners in the conversation, the inverted arrangement of the statement is accepted as the interrogative statement. The interrogative pronoun who becomes the subordinating conjunction because the pronoun who indicates the same person in both clauses. The speaker indicates the object of the preposition about in the main clause with the subordinate clause who is with the trait as a pronoun. Thank you for watching.